Welcome back to the new Adult Lexicon. I'm Erin, and thank you again for joining me today. Our word of the day today is new. Now, the word new can be both exciting and scary. New possessions, new opportunities, new friends, new challenges. There are all sorts of new things that can pop into our lives and change it, for good or for bad. For some of us, especially, the idea of new, though, is daunting. As an introvert, new places, people, and opportunities can be especially challenging. But don't let that stop you. New things are important, and not just material possessions. We need to be willing to try new things, have new experiences, learn new things, find new friends, colleagues, or people in our lives, even sometimes just a new acquaintance. These help us grow into different people, grow as people. They influence us, change us, keep us in touch with the world. Now, I am definitely not one for skydiving or any crazy adventures, but trying new things is definitely good for the soul. They may be small things, they may not seem that exciting, life-changing, or death-defying, but new experiences open up new parts of us. We experience something different, we get a new and different outlook on life, and sometimes we learn about different people or viewpoints along the way. All very good things. Now, I started a new job a couple of months ago, and I tell you, the whole endeavor was a bit daunting. But I knew it was time. I needed some new opportunities and advancements in my career and wasn't seeing that opportunity at my old place. I loved the place I worked with, and I loved the people I worked with. And I didn't mind the work, but I wanted more. And not just more money, though that was a factor as well, but just needed that opportunity to grow as a person, as a professional. Now, the applying part of the job hunt was easy. Then the phone interviews weren't too bad. But then there were the in-person interviews. Going to a new building and awkwardly introducing yourself to the receptionist, wandering and finding your way, hopefully on the first try, to the HR department, waiting for that person to come interview you, sometimes just sitting awkwardly in a room, and then the actual interview itself, having to make some small talk and talk about yourself and be interactive. It's stressful. Even with all the planning that I did to go into this interview, it's a situation that can be very hard to judge. So there is always a question or a topic I'm not expecting. Something comes up and I'm, get that shell-shocked feeling in my body. But I made it through and impressed them enough that I got hired. So now that meant lots of awkward talks at my old job, telling my boss, whom I loved working for, that I was leaving, telling everyone else that I was leaving, and then people wanted to ask me about it and wish me well and say goodbye, and people wanted hugs. Plus, the going away party, which luckily contained alcohol, so it made me slightly more loquacious than usual. But then again, lots of small talks and conversations about myself, which I hate. Then I had to actually start at the new place, so days of awkwardness there as well. The first day meant lots of new names that it took me weeks to remember, so much small talk, and tons of interactions. Having to go up to my new boss and coworkers to start conversations about work and inquiries. One part of my personality is that I hate not knowing things. I want to know everything. I want to be an expert, and if I'm not an expert, I'm not going to do it. So training is hard for me, coming from a place where I was the resident expert and I knew everything. I'd been there years. And now coming to this new place and having to admit even vaguely that I didn't know something. Even when you're new and they expect a learning curve and some training, it's still having to admit that is so hard for me. So having to go up to my boss and be like, hey, can you please explain this to me because I don't quite get it, was very, very hard and awkward for me. So that was a really hard new thing for me to do. Then a new lunchroom where I didn't know where anything was, which, yes, I ate cold leftover stir fry the first day just to avoid asking anyone where the microwave was. Plus figuring out vending machines, water machines, bathroom etiquette, so many chances for awkward blunders. Coming into an existing team dynamic as the new girl is hard for anyone, but particularly hard for an awkward introvert like myself who doesn't really want to start a conversation with anyone, especially about small talk. But moral of the story is it may take a few days or weeks, but it is worth it. I've got a new job where I'm settling in, making more money, and opening up some new opportunities for myself in the future in my professional life. All good things. Yes, they took risk and a little bit of suffering through awkwardness and some definite uncomfortable moments for myself to get to these, but we can't exist on the status quo forever just to avoid an uncomfortable opportunity, just to avoid that awkward moment. Those are part of life. Some people more than others, but really they are part of life for everyone. So go out, meet someone new, even if it's just a flop or you end up only as passing acquaintances. You don't have to go out every day and talk to people. You can find people with similar interests. Join an online group as a first step if you're too nervous to take a deep dive. This is sounding a little bit like my happiness video, and they are somewhat intertwined. But go out and do something that makes you happy. Food is something that makes me happy. Was it awkward and nerve-wracking the first time I went to a new restaurant by myself? Yes. But I got to try some new food and had a good time. And honestly, workers at these places really don't give much of a shit about psychoanalyzing their customers. They're going to forget you as soon as they clock out. So they aren't judging you as much as you think you might if you show up alone. Unless you're a shitty tipper, then that might happen. But another new option is traveling. We don't all have necessarily the resources or time to travel, probably mostly like we would like to. I would love to be able to do some more traveling, and there's just certain constraints in life that are always going to exist and prohibit some of that. But try it. Do a day trip. There's so many things. I live in the US. I'm in the Midwest. I can travel a couple hours on the weekend and take my kids somewhere new and different and be back in a day or even just overnight somewhere. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to fly somewhere crazy and exotic. You don't have to, spend tons of money on something. It can be random and crazy. One time we drove a couple hours to pick something up from Craigslist that we bought, and while we were there, we're like, oh, we're going to stop here. And we stopped at this random train museum and spent like 4 hours at this little random train museum in the middle of nowhere, but had such a great time. And it was just one of those random things that they will probably remember when they're older, and it's probably seem super weird, but it's a memory that will stick with them. And it was not an expensive trip. We had to obviously get the gas to go there, and I think we each paid a couple dollars to get into the museum, but overall it was a great fun experience. And it's just one of those random things you packed up into the car and just decide to go somewhere, turn the music up, roll the windows down, have some fun. Try something new, go somewhere new. Find an extracurricular activity to do. That sounds a little weird to say as an adult because I think a lot of us tie extracurricular with school, but there are rec sports leagues to join, clubs, and other meeting groups. I've been looking into trying to find something to join in my city. Haven't quite found the perfect one yet, and yes, I am procrastinating just a bit because it is new and scary, but I'm working on it. I've looked into writers groups, book clubs, chess clubs, Scrabble leagues, and rec softball, just to name a few. Also, go outside, even if it's just to walk around your neighborhood or to the library. When I moved into this new place, I set up my deck as I was so excited to have one. Sitting out there doesn't seem like a huge new thing, but it was something new and different for me, and enjoying nature with my glass of wine while grilling was still something new for me. Another one, learn something new. I am a huge advocate of this. Learning is so important. Lifelong learning is so important. You have to keep learning new things, keep expanding your mind. You don't have to go back to school to do this, though I did do that as an adult, and it can be great and awesome. But you can do something simple like one of those free community college courses, or the cheap ones that you don't have to be enrolled officially to take. There's free classes at your local library. If you have a small business development center like we do here, they offer all sorts of stuff. Check out a book from the library on whatever subject you want to learn more about. There's tons of them there. Take a free online course, though please research them. Make sure they are at least semi-legitimate before you do that. Buy a Rosetta Stone course. There's so many things out there that you can do to learn and expand your mind and enrich your passion. YouTube videos. Again, do a little research before you take them at face value, but these all can have tons of benefits. Again, not only enriching your passion and helping you learn and thrive more in that area, but it could make another change in your life. Get certified in something. There's so many random certifications online that you can do for free or cheap. Do something that will help advance your career. You can learn more and be more knowledgeable when you do an interview. You can interact on LinkedIn and expand your network, and it doesn't even have to just be professional. If you have a passion that is maybe just a hobby, it's your side thing that makes you happy, spend some time on it, learn more things about it, figure out a way to enrich it, maybe do it more, monetize it. There are so many options out there. So go, be inspired and try something new. Let me know some of your craziest experiences with branching out. I want to hear about the successes and the failures. I want to hear, what your idea was, what new thing you tried and the consequences. Did it help your life? Did it change your life? Did you love it? Let me know. And as always, thank you again for joining me, and I hope that you will join me again next time for the new Adult Lexicon.